welcome, Jackson, to our podcast. It's the first time you've been on our show.
Yeah, Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're super excited. And, as you know, that everybody's always interested in numbers and charts, and I watched a few of your market updates, and I thought, hey, let's just have him on, and maybe you can just sum it up. That way somebody can be driving and listening if they don't have time to watch the videos and all that stuff and go over some of the information that you have to give us.
That's perfect.
Yeah. So, should we get right started? We're seeing more listings hit the market, but not the same jump in sales. So, what is holding buyers back? We're going to dive right into it.
Sure. Easy question, softball for me. What is the problem for all buyers? Yes, you're right. We are seeing since 2022 an uptick in listings here in the metro, but since about the same time, we've been pretty consistent, I will say, in a positive light, with about 3,000, maybe 3,200 closed sales, year over year at about this time. And consistency is pretty good, but we want that buyer activity to go up and kind of match pace with new listings, like what you're saying. There are two reasons for that, and let's kind of like set the context here, right? We have been coming out of one of the biggest economic shifts in the past 2 decades in COVID-19, the pandemic, the economic response from that, right? And we talk a lot about cost of living, consumer price index, inflation, and we like to say that we quote unquote have it under control when the economy is only inflating by about 2 to 3% each year, right? But when you see that cost of living skyrocket up 10% just about 5-6 years ago, and then we're now only increasing by about 3%, it's like going up the steepest hill that you can think of here in the Twin Cities, and then as you get to the top of it, it's not nearly as steep, but you're still going uphill. Buyers are experiencing that uphill climb, even though it's not as steep as it used to be. And it still kind of hurts at the top of the hill, right?
Yeah.
We don't necessarily, to continue the analogy, go downhill, because then we're going to be losing prices on properties over time, on average. But you are, if you're a buyer, you're faced with this idea of still going uphill. Costs are still going up, even though it's in a controlled manner. So the cost of living is probably the main impact as to why you're not seeing that buyer increase with the supply increase of new listings. The other part of this conversation is economic uncertainty, right? It's been about 2.5 minutes and we've already talked about AI.
Of course.
AI and the investment into artificial intelligence is having a measurable impact on our lending market. Think of it this way. When there is money that is being held by any sort of mortgage lender from a big scale capacity, they have a choice of how they want to spend those dollars, and they're looking for the best return on investment, right? When you are looking at the news right now and you are seeing major tech investment into computer chips, cooling systems, and property, not only from Silicon Valley, but areas in and around the metro here, and you only have $1 to spend in one way or another, you're making a bet whether or not that investment is going to be better spent on residential real estate, commercial real estate, any type of real estate, or to put it into an AI investment, right? And if $1 is going towards AI in some capacity, by definition, it can't be spent at your local residential real estate portfolio and therefore going to buyers. That hesitancy in the market is having trickle-down effects all the way down to your buyers. Look at what we see now in the past couple of weeks with not only economic uncertainty with AI, but also with the war in Iran, or the military conflict in Iran, that has caused mortgage interest rates to spike up from 6 to 6.5%. That leads to a level of uncertainty as well, right? Now that's a short-term reaction, right? But we're still seeing it in our showing activity here. Those are probably the two main reasons why you're not seeing that market activity match with the listing activity that you see right now.
Fascinating how many things really do impact buyers and like real estate in general, that on the surface you're like, okay, AI, yeah, military conflict, yeah, but like how everything has an impact on real estate.
We're all connected, nothing's in isolation.
Yeah.
Right.
So with the higher number of listings now, would you say that we're officially in a buyer's market, or is it just a less competitive seller's market?
I know we're mostly audio here, but just for the listeners, I am pushing my glasses fully to my brim here to give you the nerdiest answer that academically, no, we are not in a buyer's market. But I know that a couple of people are probably been like, Jackson, we're absolutely in a buyer's market. Look at the difference of how I feel as a practitioner in this space between just a couple of years ago and now. That feeling is real, right? Anyone who has worked through the past 5 or more years has felt a meaningful shift. And just because academically we're not officially in a buyer's market, which is defined by at least 4 months supply of inventory. Right now we're hovering at about 2.2 months supply of inventory. It doesn't mean that we haven't seen some sort of shift in buyer leverage compared to where we were at 2022, for instance. Just keep in mind that in 2021 and 2022, we were in a hyper seller's market. You know, there was almost no leverage for buyers. They were getting what they could get with as much money as they could afford to spend over asking price. Negotiations are starting to come back, and if you're looking at it from a practitioner's standpoint as an indication of a practical buyer's market, again, air quotes here, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a different world than where we were at, because things like negotiations are coming back. Prices, while not going down on average, have started to flatten off. And those are some clear indicators that the market isn't what it once was. So it's okay to kind of feel that feeling of kind of being more buyer friendly, even though we're not in a classical buyer's market.
What do you think the reason for more listings is? Obviously there's always going to be people who have to sell, and there's always going to be people who have to buy, but as we're talking about the impacts of AI and other things that are going on, like those would be impacting sellers as well, right? Like for them having to go and like buy another property. So is there, or is it just how it is?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, right? I mean, first, I don't think anyone chooses to list their home because of what's happening in the economy first and foremost, right? Like you said, they're making that choice to list their home for life decisions, right? Whether they've expanded their family and they need an extra bedroom coming up, or they are getting into senior years and they want to downsize, right? Those life decisions come first. Once you make that life decision, you start becoming more in tune with what's going on and how your own personal decision fits in the greater economy. And everything you start seeing, whether it's on social media, in the news, conversations with friends, family, and your realtor, is all seen through that lens of, yes, I need to sell that home, but also, like you mentioned, the vast majority of people who are selling are looking to move into a new property. You are both the mindset of a seller and a buyer at the same time. So that puts you at what we're talking about, the last question you asked. You have the leverage when you're selling your home. You don't have as much leverage when you're trying to buy the new one, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of feelings going on when you are trying to make both decisions at the same time.
Right, sure. That's so true. And so the average median price point right now for a home that's the hottest is like between that 300, 400.
Yeah, about 380,000.
380, probably that sweet spot. So that's where we see all the different kind of showing activity depending on the price of the home and whether things sit or go above or under ask and all that stuff. And there's so much negotiating going on in that sweet spot. Like, in your opinion, from what you're hearing and seeing, what are the best strategies? negotiating for a buyer to get the house if that is the range that they are house hunting in.
Yeah. So like I mentioned, like median, which means like at the halfway point of all homes sold, those prices are about the same as what we were seeing this time last year, right? That's not what we would normally expect, right? We're all in this industry for price growth, right?
Yeah.
Now there are two different worlds of price growth in the past couple of years. There is the COVID 10+% price growth over time, right? Which sounds exciting and lucrative, is also unsustainable. I'm wearing my economist cap here, right?
We're never going back there, by the way.
Exactly.
Should I say never? Can I say never? I mean,
hey,
the one's waiting for that to,
Well, think of the impact of how we ended up getting there, right? We had a global shift. In some ways, it ended up being good. Prices grew. But in other ways, we were living in a chaotic world, right?
Yeah.
A level of uncertainty. There's always trade-offs. When you see a major shift like that, you're acknowledging a positive one, but there were repercussions because of that, right? Now, to answer your question, what can buyers do right now? It's that greater sense of awareness, right? We talked about cost of living. That cost of living is always important to set in the context, especially if you're working with buyer's agents, right? Or if you are a buyer's agent working with clients who are buyers, right? But framing is everything. If I am looking to buy a home right now and we are living in an industry that historically sees price growth of 3.5%, 4%, maybe even 5% year over year, and right now prices at the median are no greater than they were this time last year, that is a relative benefit for buyers. If they can, and this is a big if they can afford to buy now, they are buying at a relatively good time.
Great point there.
That is a really good point.
Now, again, it's all in context, right? Interest rates are not the most friendly right now. Totally fair. But if the point is a long-term investment in property over a decade, 2 decades, if they're going to spend the rest of their life here in the Twin Cities, then this property right here, if they end up staying in it, is going to eventually, prices will return back up to a pace that we would normally see, that 4 or 5-ish% year over year price growth. And if you are purchasing now when we're in a relative dip of 0% price growth, that's investment for you overall.
Yeah.
And I would imagine when someone is house hunting in that price range, there's probably multiple, and they probably sell faster. I'm guessing less days on market for that price point. And do you know the percentage of over ask they go, or
Yeah.
I don't know if that was in there or not, but I hear stories all the time of like somebody trying to get a house and they're like, yeah, we did 40 grand over ask, didn't get it. And it's just like, and it was priced appropriately, and that's tough.
Now, I will just say for anybody who is interested in kind of nerding out with me after listening to this podcast, we provided slides to the two of you for just some reference points, and I sent them along to you. And to whatever extent you can, feel free to share them out with your listeners.
Anybody that wants to see these slides, send us a message, email us, and we will send you the whole slideshow. I will tell you, it is so interesting.
Yes, and that's kind of what you're referencing is about negotiations. And in that slide deck, I kind of show that the average percent of original list price received overall, you asked about a particular price point, but overall, we've come out of a world where regardless of price point, people were asking 3 or more % over asking price, on average, to now a world of relative negotiation. About 98, 99% is what sellers receive at close relative to what they end up listing the house for, which means that they're making some sort of compromises. But you asked a really great question. At the more high profile, high demand areas, you are still seeing offers over asking price. What specifically, I don't have the charts here for you, but it is something that we have looked at in the past, and that is a normal trend of, at about 300,000-400,000, it's not uncommon to still see that those offers above asking price are still there because they're the properties that are in the highest demand.
Mm-hmm. As far as like the days that a house is sitting, what would you say what differentiate a house from the ones that sell fast versus the ones that have been sitting longer? Given that there's more listings now, there's a lot more options. What is that differentiator?
Yeah,
I'm sure there's many, not just one, but
yeah. So stats nerd again here. Median, right? We talk about averages, and at that median 50th percentile point, we are seeing that overall. The pace of the market in days on market is climbing up back to where we were 2018, 2019. But median does not mean all homes, right? You're absolutely right in saying that some homes sell faster. From what I can see from a 50,000 foot lens, that can be because of location, great location, right? First and foremost. Competitive pricing, if it's priced to sell, it's gonna move fast. And some sort of intrinsic quality from the home. That could be simply the fact that bathroom or kitchen got remodeled recently, and that's a great seller. We know that as a common great return on your investment. If you need to remodel those two areas, right? On average, they end up giving you the best ROI. And it could be some sort of intrinsic quality, like there is just a beautiful built-in nook situation, and you have a buyer who is a reader, and they are willing to sign pen to paper on that purchase agreement as soon as possible, right?
yeah.
Now, can we statistically pull those sort of intrinsic qualities out? Not necessarily, right? But we do hear that anecdotally from practitioners in the space that should be included along with the competitive pricing that we see, the locations that are usually the hot market areas that we see. And since we're kind of talking about those areas of, not all locations have the same days on market. If you are a Minneapolis Area Realtors member, whether you are a realtor member or an affiliate member and you're listening here, head on over to our market data webpage on the MAR website. As long as you sign in and you are logged into your portal as a member, scroll on down and you will see a heat map where you can look for yourself where are those locations that are seeing a faster paced market in the kind of red shaded area of our heat map versus again, air quotes, less hot market. All of it is relatively hot because, again, we're in a strong seller's market. But if you're looking to differentiate different areas from others, that heat map is a great first step for you to go to. You could even share that with your clients to be able to get them an understanding of where in the Twin Cities the markets are hot and where they are, let's say, warm.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea to be sharing those stats with your clients and like staying up to date on those heat maps and everything, and really just setting that expectation because, like you said, every area is so different.
Yeah, and it's a member benefit. We want to make sure that the fundamental market stats are available for members for free, so that way you can pass that knowledge along to your clients. A knowledgeable realtor ends up making sure that the clients have the information they need to make the best decision for them.
Absolutely.
That's such a good point. And while we're talking about this, there are so many great free resources for realtors on the website. What are some things that you feel like people aren't taking advantage of that they should? Or let's say somebody's like, gosh, I haven't logged in a while. What's the most important thing to look up when you're there?
From a market data standpoint, I would regularly be paying attention to your email when MAR sends you a newsletter. Not only does that give you all the events of what's going on, availability for classes, if you need to get your CE credit done, that's important, but we also include with it a weekly blog. We call it the Weekly Pulse. And if you're looking to start your week off with understanding showing activity in particular, we put a major focus on that blog with talking about showing activity through showing time data. And we build that out every Monday morning to get to you by Monday afternoon. That's probably the biggest most frequent resource that you could probably have access to as a MAR member.
I love that.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
it is a great website. There's
Yeah,
there.
we try to make sure people have information for them.
Yeah.
So what are some of the mistakes that you have seen sellers make, or that you think that they're making right now, right?
Yeah.
Somebody finally decides, I'm gonna sell my house even though I'm locked into this sweet interest rate, just
Mhm.
pretending. And then their house sits, or maybe it doesn't sell, or maybe they don't get the price they thought. Like, what are some of the mistakes that
Yeah.
you think they are making?
I hear you. I want to push back on mistakes, right? Because when thinking about this off the top of my head, it's kind of like fishing, right? You don't know if your bait's going to work. You don't know if you're in the right spot. But the fact that you're in the boat and you're out there fishing means that you have a better chance of catching a fish than on the couch, right? So
Yeah.
you're
I like
not.
that analogy.
Yeah, you're
We
not
gotta
making.
remember that one, Grace.
You're not making a mistake specifically,
Yeah.
but maybe it's more about understanding, having a better awareness of what you can control, right? You can control your home condition. You can control the price of the property. You can control certain terms in the transaction, and you can control timing, right? Things you can't control, you can't control the economy, right? So if you have listed your home and you all of a sudden see that price spike of what we were, or interest rate spike of what we were seeing just a couple of weeks ago, up to 6.5% nationally on an average for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, then it doesn't mean that you've made a mistake. That's out of your control, right? You now have a decision, now that you are aware of the situation, to make the best decision that is right for your client at that time. Deal with the things that you can't control by managing those things that you can, right? And a greater sense of awareness of how your listing fits into the larger economy, both here locally in the Twin Cities, as well as what's potentially able to impact that economically nationally, is going to help you make those smarter decisions.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
true. Having it priced appropriately is obviously the number one thing.
Yes, absolutely.
And even though it's kind of this ugly time of year where things are brown and icky, and I'm just like, I wonder if they could somehow make the photos look a little prettier, or take some spring photos also, if you know you're going to sell. I don't know.
I think that's absolutely right. It's one of the first things I mentioned was about home condition, right?
Yeah.
Setting home condition, and that includes how you are marketing that property. If the snow has just left us and you still have photos with snow on the ground,
And some do.
probably get rid of those photos and
Yeah.
go
Take
out
new
and replace
photos.
them.
Yeah, I agree.
We're looking out a window right now and I see leaves budding in the
Yeah.
trees.
It's like that. It's that brown taupe color though.
Yeah.
You know where the lawn isn't green yet.
And
It's
and I
But it's
agree with
coming.
you.
It's coming. It's coming. It's
And
true.
funny fact, I pulled this from M&R that just posted about this on LinkedIn maybe a couple of days ago. This week, statistically, is the week where we see the most frequent number of new listings being added on a week-by-week basis,
Oh,
right?
cool.
But people are making that decision now. Should
Yeah.
I list or not? And this happens to be about that turning point in the season. It's not too late to refresh that listing if you've been sitting on it for a couple of weeks, and make sure that it is matching with the pace of people who are just making that decision right now.
Right.
Very true.
Good point.
Yeah, because they see the pictures too, and if they are like older photos, you've been sitting on it for a while, they see the pictures, they pull up and
Yeah.
they're like,
Refresh.
yeah,
I know.
come on.
It's so true.
Yeah. I also love when agents like offer that for their clients before snow comes and everything, and they get some green photos that you can use
Right.
it for when, if you are ready to sell in the spring or whatever, you have some
Yeah.
green.
Most people kind of have an idea that
Yeah.
they might be, selling after the school year or moving in a couple years, right? And so it's like when the weather is beautiful, especially during fall around here, it's so pretty too. It's like if you can capture some great photos,
Might as well.
why not? That could be a huge
Exactly.
selling factor when somebody can see how gorgeous
Yeah.
the home looks with the flowers
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yes.
'Cause
Or
as
the
a
pool
buyer,
with
too.
water in it, right? Instead of the cover over
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Exactly.
As a buyer, scrolling through all of the pictures of houses and everything, if your house just stands out just a little bit, because the photos are
Colorful
just
front
like
door.
a little bit brighter. It looks sunnier. You're like, you can picture it
Yeah.
more.
I know. The visual appeal is so
Absolutely.
important.
Yeah.
That's true.
So with your slideshow and the graphs that you have, what would you say is one stat or two stats or whatever that agents should be talking about with every single client?
Yeah, I mean, we've already talked about it a couple of times here. It's interest rates, right? That is the single biggest influencer from a metrics perspective that influences buyer activity. We see it in our showing activity, we see it in our pending sales, and that means that it impacts closing sales at the end of the day. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, yeah, but I'm working with sellers, not buyers, you know, a fisherman needs the fish. And,
Absolutely.
and the interest rate is something that even sellers need to be aware of. If nothing else, setting expectations. Half of that success that you have as an agent is setting proper expectations for your client, whatever side of the transaction that they're on, right? And interest rates and understanding the cause and effect, and if you need to hear it from me, the reassurance that we will slowly but surely be returning back down to at and below 6%, given enough time. That reassurance to your clients that the world is not ending just because we saw a spike back up, and we are going to be returning back down to that area of relative affordability in the interest rates. Then use that information to make sure that they have that trust in you as an agent to be that source of knowledge for them.
Yeah. When do you think that'll happen? Can you look at your crystal ball?
Let me pull out my crystal ball.
Yeah, I know.
I wonder what people said a few years ago to the same question too. Like
Yeah.
when people talk about predicting the next year and the next year, it's like, were they right? Were they on?
Yeah.
Were
At
they,
the beginning of every year, some of the biggest lending institutions ask themselves that question. And at the beginning of this year, they put themselves at around, I think it was high 5% at the end of the year. Now, put a big old asterisk over that, right?
Yeah.
Because if we end up having some major economic shift, I'm not even talking to the same scale that COVID was, something that ends up having a meaningful impact on our economy, throw that out the window, right? But if all goes uninterrupted, then I think that it's safe to say that we will touch back down to 6 by the end of the year, given the fact that we had a 0.5% reset, so to speak, just a couple of weeks ago.
All right. We'll
That's
touch base
awesome.
at the end of the year and see,
Yeah, we'll see
how
if
we're
my
doing.
dice roll is correct.
And if people want to tune in to market updates that you do, is it in the newsletter? They just got to go to the website and check and see when the next one is, if there is one?
Yes, I mean, I'm always excited to be talking with MAR members and anybody who wants to learn more about market data. We got multiple ways to engage with us. First and foremost, like you said, pay attention to that newsletter. Not only are you going to see the weekly pulse on a regular basis, but when we have webinars, we will make sure that those are well ahead notified in the newsletter, so that way you can sign up for a virtual webinar with me, that I can give you a deep dive of what's going on in the economy and also local market performance here in the Twin Cities. If waiting for a webinar is not your thing and you want that information more regularly, in addition to a variety of completely free tools and resources that are available to MAR members as soon as you log into the website, we also have rolled out 2 new purchasable products. One is an annual subscription called Market Pro. This is for any realtors who are really looking to get that next level of insight in interactive data visuals, 24/7 access that is available to you from the Market Pro webpage. It is an annual subscription, so if you end up signing up for it today, it'll last until, let's say, April 14th of 2027. So you get that full annual subscription all in one hit. But if you're not looking for, an investment in an annual subscription and you really just want to see more frequent market data charts, we've also built out we call it the Market Data Briefs. It's a storefront that we have on our website. For $20 a piece, you can purchase the latest month's rendition of our market data slide that covers 10 core market data metrics and some summary information of how we would interpret those charts. They're purchasable for you to cover the entire market of the Twin Cities of like all residential styles, but we also have 5 other options that segment it out from $1 million plus, townhomes, condos, single family. We've even included now a multifamily market segment as well for people who are interested in that. So for $20 for a single month's purchase, you can get the same sort of information that I supplied for this podcast as well.
That's awesome.
That is really awesome.
You have so much great information.
Oh, thanks. I really appreciate it.
Maybe we need to have him on here quarterly.
Yeah, every month. Give us a market update.
Yeah, that's true.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you so much for being with
Yeah.
us today. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.